Good evening, dear televiewers. Thank you for keeping the rendezvous for another edition of the news. We shall begin this newscast with our top stories for tonight. After the occurrence of 3 deaths from COVID-19 in Nkongsamba, the need to stem down the spread of the virus even further is of greater importance now, a fight which the SDO has taken upon himself to eradicate the spread of COVID-19. And the Confederation of African Football CAF now has a new president, that is Patrice Motsepe. Get an insight of who he is as a person and especially the challenges that await him in his new post. All of this in tonight's edition of the newscast. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go away. Good evening once again, dear televiewers. You are watching the 7 p.m. newscast on DBS Television, and I am Cynthia Ngwemo. Like we told you on our headlines tonight, there have been a report of 3 deaths due to COVID-19 in the town of Nkongsamba, that is in the littoral region. That, coupled with the government's demands for COVID-19 measures to be respected more than ever before, has prompted the SDO for Nkongsamba to go out to the streets to sensitize his population on the values of respecting COVID-19 barrier measures. All of this, at the end, he emphasized that there would be repressive measures that would be put in place if people do not respect these barrier measures. Get more of this story with Mange Venasius.
To scale up the fight against the second wave of COVID-19 pandemic, a divisional officer for Nkongsamba 1 subdivision, Dauda Usmanu, was on the field Thursday, the 11th of March 2021, to sensitize the population on the importance of respecting barrier measures. The exercise took the administrator to business sectors, schools, traveling agencies and areas of mass gatherings, accompanied by the council authority, personnel of the divisional delegate of the Ministry of Youth and Civic Education, and the forces of law and order. He urged people to put on their face mask, wash their hands, and respect social distancing rules. The action of the divisional officer conforms with government's recommendations that the fight against the spread of the virus should be coordinated at the level of local administrators. A fight coming at a time when Nkongsamba has just recorded 3 cases of deaths due to COVID-19 complications. The divisional officer used the occasion to hand over face masks to schools where he visited, insisting that school administrators should not allow anyone into the campus without one. At the end of the exercise, the divisional officer announced repressive measures in the days ahead for defaulters.
Still in the littoral region, the fight against the spread of coronavirus is ongoing in the town of Kribi, as the senior divisional officer for the Ocean Division made an impromptu visit in various public places to see for himself the level of respect of COVID-19 barrier measures and also to sensitize the population on the importance of respecting these rules. Nuhu Bello, the SDO, began his visit at Marché Nkolbiteng, where he observed great neglect of COVID-19 barrier measures, and he also talked to the people that is against a deadly habit. He then proceeded to the Kribi 2 Council, where he praised their efforts in fighting the pandemic. The SDO ended his improvised visit in schools, one of them being Collège Bilingue Adventiste, where the respect of the COVID-19 rules was observed to be quite respected. Now let's listen to the Kribi 2 Council Communication Officer Larissa Passemo, who talks about the Council's COVID-19 effort fight. Listen.
There was a test of coronavirus for all the personnel communal yesterday, because we knew that if you really want to win, let us say like that, the coronavirus, everything's supposed to start with us. We're supposed to be the first person to show the example.
Now, in the east region of Cameroon, after over 3 months of inactivity, complete inactivity, due to crisis ongoing in the Central African Republic, trucks have begun circulating again in Garoua Boulay and Bangui. Though just a partial resumption for these people, truck drivers in this part of the country have witnessed a complete shutdown of their businesses, followed by circulation. And the circulation now is a wave of hope to them, as Mange Venasius tells us in the following report.
The socio-political crisis in one of Cameroon's closest neighbor, Central African Republic, have left remarkable impact and scars on economic and social activities, not just in the conflict-hit country, but also on Cameroon, considering their close ties. One of the hard-hit sectors is the road transport. Circulation between Bangui and Cameroon's border town, Garoua Boulay, in the east region, had been halted for close to 3 months, counting from the 23rd of December 2020, due to intensified violence and attacks on truck drivers plying the roads. This caused hundreds of trucks to remain stationed for all that time, waiting to resume activities. In recent days, circulation has resumed, though timidly. Only trucks transporting goods and foodstuff are allowed to pass through, notably to supply the Central African Republic. Truck drivers in Garoua Boulay are, however, dissatisfied with the timid restart of activities.
We're talking about Central African crisis, so the economic movement, everything down, because our global business around 8 or 90% coming from Central Africa. A majority of the business, it is a buy and seller.
The partial opening of the borders at Garoua Boulay is a result of an agreement between Cameroon and the Central African Republic in the framework of cooperation ties between the two states, a gesture praised by the Central African authorities as expressed by General Leopold Bruno Izamo of the Central African Army and Gregoire Mvogo, governor of the East region. The adverse effect of the shutdown of borders are felt in the entire commercial sector, as even markets that formerly boomed with trade at the borders are now only barely struggling to resurrect from their ashes.
We now take you to Yaoundé, where the judicial community has paid tribute to the late president of the Cameroon Bar Council, Barrister Charles Tchakounté Patié. This was during a solemn ceremony organized at the Esplanade of the Supreme Court. Ate Bonaventure reports that the deceased is being hailed for his massive contribution in uniting and bringing more members into the Cameroon Bar Council for a common cause. Let's listen to his report.
Tell them, in the words of the young American poet, that the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it.
A Black Friday for men and women in black as they mourn the unforeseen departure of late Barrister Charles Tchakounté Patié on October 4, 2020 in France. Amongst the mourners at the Esplanade of the Supreme Court was the Minister Delegate at the Ministry of Justice, the President of the Constitutional Council, the Attorney General of the Supreme Court, magistrates, and members of the Bar Council.
He was an extraordinary person who was able to navigate the troubled waters during these days when we have to grapple with the problem of managing our two legal traditions. He was very good at doing that.
The judicial officials took turns to bow before the casket in honor of he who was regarded as one with revolutionary ambitions for the judiciary in Cameroon.
And also he created at the bar a special institution that took care of the defense of lawyers. I think that is an amazing task. The Bar Council is an institution. Great members come and go. The importance is to learn from the lessons of those who have gone. And I think that those who stayed behind have learned quite a bit.
The 57-year-old seasoned lawyer was voted as president of the Cameroon Bar Association by his peers on November 25, 2018, during an extraordinary General Assembly. A forest of hands would give him a standing ovation as this convoy accompanies him to his last journey.
Now in sports, the Confederation of African Football (CAF) has this Friday gotten a new president in the person of Patrice Motsepe. He is a South African business tycoon who stood as the last man standing in this race after his three challengers dropped out of the race. And Vanessa Shuyong in the following report paints a profile of who he is and equally gives us a rundown or an idea of some of the challenges that await him in his function at the helm of the African Confederation of Football. Let's listen.
South African billionaire Patrice Motsepe has been confirmed as the new Confederation of African Football president in Rabat on Friday. Being the owner of South African giant Mamelodi Sundowns, Motsepe was elected unopposed to replace Ahmad Ahmad, whose 3 years promised much but was spotted by accusations of nepotism, corruption and embezzlement. The 59-year-old's path to the presidency was maneuvered by FIFA and Gianni Infantino, who reportedly supervised the brokering of a deal with other candidates. Unlike his one-time rivals, Patrice Motsepe has no experience in football administration. His experience within the sports milieu has been rooted with Sundowns, the Pretoria-based club he bought in 2003. Under his guidance and backed by considerable investments, the Brazilians became only the second South African side to win the CAF Champions League in 2016 and have won 7 domestic titles. He began his working life as a lawyer, switched to mining and now involved in many businesses. Said to be elected for the next 4 years, he will now face perhaps his biggest challenge in fixing a football federation plagued by scandal and claims of mismanagement in recent years. It would be an added challenge to organizing sporting activities in a period plagued by the coronavirus pandemic. Questions are also popping up concerning the independence of the body, as former Africa Cup of Nations winning coach Claude Leroy questioned the involvement of FIFA in Motsepe's election, given they would not dare do so in Europe or South America. But Patrice Motsepe's main goal is making Africa a global football force. Senegalese Augustin Senghor and Mauritanian Ahmed Yahya were given the first and second vice president's role, and Jacques Anouma a special advisor.
Now we take you to news out of Cameroon. In Egypt, a fire outbreak in a garment factory has consumed not just the materials but also at least 20 lives, including at least 24 other people severely wounded who are currently receiving treatment. And in Nigeria, 31 people have been killed in attacks suspected to be carried out by some bandits who attacked nearby villages yesterday evening. In the following page, which is the Africa Roundup page, Rogeatu Buba gives us the details of this story. She is our intern.
A fire accident at a garment factory in the north of the Egyptian capital, Cairo, has killed 20 people and injured 24. According to statements released by the government, the reason for the fire outbreak at the 4-story building is not yet known. 15 fire trucks were dispatched to extinguish the huge blaze as smoke puffed up over the area. Ambulances took the victims to the nearby hospital. Egypt has had a string of fires in recent years as buildings were constructed without safety standards and also due to lax enforcement of industrial measures. Last month, the same incident occurred in a shoe warehouse which engulfed a 13-story building. In Nigeria, at least 31 people have been killed in 3 deadly separate attacks by criminal groups. The attackers on bikes invaded the village of Damaga in Zamfara state. They assaulted villages, stole livestock, and kidnapped personalities. For the past 10 years, criminal groups have terrorized the population of northwestern and central Nigeria. In recent months, they have stepped up attacks on schools, causing a state of great disturbance around the world. In less than 3 months, 300 girls were abducted from a school in Zamfara state and later released. Faced with the insecurity that plagues northwestern Nigeria, the president, Muhammadu Buhari, is under pressure. At a meeting in Abuja on Thursday, he asked army officials to strike harder to crack down on crime in the region.
We have come to the end of this Friday's edition of the news on DBS television. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching, and we do hope to see you when we return on Monday. While waiting, enjoy the rest of your weekend here on DBS television. Good night.